Good morning, 819S. It is June 1st, 2025. I can't believe half of 2025 is already gone. The weather cleared up a lot. It's about 17 degrees out right now with the high of 21. It's a little cloudy, but doesn't look like rain. Forecast doesn't call for rain for the rest of the day either, so that's good, definitely. And I have a different mic in, so this mic should be working fine, but it is a little more sensitive than my previous mic, so I have to be a little more careful with my volume. I do think I'm going to have to buy a new mic too. I prefer the sound of the one that I had before. I'm just going to have to do something better to secure it in the water. I typically use it for a few years without the water doing any damage to it, so yeah. But anyways, yesterday I had another topic that I talked about. One of my comments asked about police, and the comment seemed to be concerned that if they ride a motorcycle in Japan, yes, I'm not wearing gloves again today. If they ride a motorcycle in Japan, will they be stopped by the police because they're a foreigner? And while it does happen with bicycles, or it can happen for other circumstances, I think with motorcycles it typically doesn't. You're wearing a helmet if you have a chin guard, so full face helmet, if you have visors and goggles on. I think unless you're wearing something very outrageously not Japanese, I think that people wouldn't recognize you from your fashion, if that makes sense. I wear colorful camouflage pants, and that typically gives me away as a foreigner. There are very, very, very few Japanese people who wear colorful camouflage pants, at least from the people I see walking around my area. So, yeah, if you're wearing ordinary clothes, jeans, t-shirt, riding jacket, stuff like that, from your clothes, you're probably not a giveaway that you're not a Japanese person. So police probably wouldn't even know that. So I don't think you have too much to worry about in that sense. And I have a friend who follows all the rules very carefully. He has gotten several tickets to the point where his license was nearly suspended. So he stopped riding for, I think, 1 whole year so that the points would reset, and that he could ride without concern. If he had gotten stopped again, he wouldn't have actually gotten his license suspended, which is kind of, frankly, disappointing for him and for me, because I like to go on for rides with him, and we had a few rides that we had planned to go on together. But yeah, he got stopped not because he was a bad rider. He is arguably safer than me. He typically follows the speed limit much, much, much more carefully. I'm usually a 5 to 10 kilometer over the limit guy. I think especially on the Genskis, because it is already slower speed limit, so just to make up a little bit of time. And the reason I go 5 to 10 over is when in Rome. The typical driver is going to be going 5, 10, 15, 20 over in some cases. So if I follow the flow of traffic, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. The trick that caught him in most cases, one of them was a person who seemed to be crossing the crosswalk. I don't think his foreignness played any part in his getting stopped by the police. The police sincerely thought that the person was attempting to cross the crosswalk. He thought that they weren't, and so he went. And in the end, it turns out they weren't, but he still got ticketed for it. I don't know the rules because I haven't been ticketed yet. Hopefully never, knock on something. But my understanding, in Japan, you get a ticket, you have maybe 7 days to pay it. You have a very, very limited amount of time. So because he's also busy like I am, he went in and paid the ticket, and then afterwards talked to a lawyer because he had it on videotape. He had an action camera running to capture the moment, and I believe the lawyer said, yeah, you probably could have argued that one, and you could have had the fine taken away from you. But because you already paid it, it's a done deal. There's no way to fight it or reverse it. Don't take that as gospel truth. That's just an anecdote from a friend. But yeah, if you do get a ticket and you believe that you were given it incorrectly, fight it before you pay it. And if you don't want to go through the hassle of fighting it, just pay it. But you might end up getting punished like my friend did. Other things are like sometimes the trees can block traffic signs. I have a few friends who got hit with things like this. The sign wasn't visible or clear for a fairly long distance. And in some cases, the first friend who ever told me about it, the sign wasn't visible at all. It was completely enclosed in a tree. And so she didn't know that the sign was there, but when she did try to fight it, the police said, well, you're supposed to know the traffic rules regardless of condition. And she thought it was unfair. I also think it's unfair. If the sign is not clearly visible, how can you be expected to follow it? But yeah, she ended up paying the fine, and she was bitter about it, obviously. Yeah, watching out for really, really, really little rules. I think those are the things you need to be careful of. As far as driving, a lot of people run red lights, but if you want to be safer, obviously don't go through. When I say running red light, I mean one that changed from yellow to red and you're like in the last second. If the light's just red and you go through it, I see people do that in Japan too, especially at night, and especially young people. Don't ever do that. That's just purely illegal. But if the light turns and you go through it, it seems to be common enough. I'm not sure how strict the police are with enforcing it. I assume if they're there, they're going to pull you over for it. But the danger there is the car behind you. So the very first time I saw a light turn and I went to hit the brakes, I heard a squeal behind me. It was a big dump truck, and I moved over to the shoulder as much as I could. I was on my 250 at the time. And thank God I moved over, because the dump truck had intended to go through the red light, but I didn't realize that because I was a new driver in Japan. And I moved over to the shoulder, and where his tire finally stopped was about midway through my bike. So if I hadn't moved over, he would have hit me, because just the sheer weight and momentum of the vehicle means he couldn't have stopped. And yeah, I absolutely don't recommend running red lights, but if you see the light changing, be careful of your six. If somebody's behind you, they might have different intentions than you do, so just be ready for that. That one, it takes time reading the road in Japan. And yeah, little details are kind of important. People at crosswalks. I talked about my friend's issue with another guy who knows the law and driving and stuff like that really well. He worked for a automotive company, and one of his hobbies was tuning and fixing cars, and maybe when he was younger he did some like light racing and stuff. He told me, if someone is standing at the intersection, like right here, and they want to cross and I want to turn, for example, like this girl standing here, I have to wait for that person to cross in order for me to turn, even if she doesn't intend to cross, which was the most nonsensical thing I've ever heard. He told me that if there's someone standing at the curb, at the corner, and they have the right of way, and you go, that you're basically violating the law. Even if they wave you on, it's usually, or it can be, depending on the police officer, it can be considered you obstructing them, and then you can be ticketed for it. And I think especially when the pedestrian waves you on and you go and then they cross, maybe the police consider that obstruction. I can't explain the logic of that to you, because I think if someone gives you the right of way very visibly and very clearly, then you should have the right of way. But, you know, it's up to the police officer's interpretation and discretion. So if you think someone is actually intending to cross the street and they wave you on, it's usually safer to let them go first, even though it might delay you. There might be a back and forth where, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go. Yeah. If you're the vehicle, you should let them go first if you can. I've done it both ways, and again, I think maybe lucky because there was no police vehicle around, and maybe lucky because the person was actually just giving me the right of way. I don't know the exact circumstance, but I've never been ticketed for that. Yeah. Giving the pedestrians the right of way is one of the most major things. I'm trying to think of the other situation that my friend got ticketed for. I think it was like the ambiguity of some signs. The placement of the sign is down the road, and from your vantage point, you break what the sign is saying, but the understanding is the sign, where the sign is enforced, is near where the sign is. Let me give you the example. There was a sign that said no right turn. Okay? So my friend needed to turn into an apartment building. Japanese call it a mansion. He needed to turn into that apartment building. And the sign was a little bit up the road, let's say 20, 30 meters. And from where he was, he thought it was safe to turn into there. There was no traffic coming. He turned in. It seems like the police wait there because this is a really, really common thing. And there's ambiguity in the sign. So the police officer's contention was he broke the law because the sign says no right turn. His contention was he was way before the sign. Therefore, it doesn't apply to that specific turn. Oop. Somebody was turning right, and then the car wanted to go around him, so I needed to emergency brake there suddenly. Always pay attention. Yeah, so basically, there was a little bit of an argument because of the ambiguity of the sign, and the friend ended up just paying the fine, and I don't know if it was ever resolved who was correct. I think the police officer waits in that area and tickets people all the time. It's kind of a local trap, and I think people who live there know about that trap, so they can avoid it. But I think that people who don't live in that area or who have come there for the first time or something like that don't realize what's going on, so they can get caught easily. The other one is crossing yellow lines. There's another trap in Machida. You go over a bridge and there's a right turn. The right turn is probably 200 meters away from the backside of the bridge, but they painted a yellow line over the bridge, and so people who realize they need to turn right there, usually at the top of the bridge, they realize, oh, there's my right turn, so they want to move over, but the line is yellow, and this is also a local trap. The police are usually waiting in the nearby parking lot because they know that people are going to cross that yellow line. Even in safe conditions, people are going to cross that line. And the police are going to nitpick that rule, never ever ever cross a yellow line. And, I guess for safety, the police are right, but for practicality, the police are wrong. And I think if I had lived closer to that street, or if I used it more, I might petition the local government to change that line color or to add another place. Because, yeah, there's no possible way unless you live there to know that you're not going to be able to turn right there. So yeah, always err on the side of caution. If you're not 100% sure about a rule, do it what you think the safest possible way would be, and get familiar with the law, and in that case do it with the way that you think the law would interpret it most accurately. Yeah. Hopefully the volume is okay for this. It does seem to be peaking a little bit. This mic is a little more sensitive than my previous one, but thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Get out there, ride, and definitely ride safe.